Cam Newton was the league's MVP, leading his team to a Super Bowl. So how did he end up with no team wanting him only a few years later? This is the tragic story of Cam Newton. Cam was made to be a star from a young age. When he was in middle school, there was no football team to join, so Cam decided to play basketball, and guess what? He dominated. His old coach said, "We had Cam, that's why we won." It wouldn't be the last time one of his coaches said that. Cam had the ability to lead from a young age, which many thought was his biggest strength. And they might have been right, because he brought that ability to every level of football he played. All he ever wanted to do was play football, and high school was his first chance to give it a try. In his first year at high school, Cam was already playing with the varsity team. But he was tall and skinny, so they put him at wide receiver to start the season. But finally, Cam got his first chance to play quarterback. And guess what happened? He arrived 2 hours late to the game. His team was losing by more than 20 points at halftime. But the coaches said, "We'll be fine when Mr. Newton gets in the game." And they were right. Cam led his offense to score 51 points in the second half, and they won the game. Things quickly got better for Cam after this. His junior year of high school, he threw for over 2,500 yards, ran for 700 yards, and scored 32 touchdowns. He quickly became the #1 prospect in the country and was a 5-star recruit. Cam had over 40 scholarship offers, but here's the crazy thing. College coaches wanted him, but not as a quarterback. They recruited him to play tight end. After dominating high school as a quarterback, they wanted him to change positions just because of his size. But Cam said no, he wanted to play QB. And there was one team that really believed in Cam's ability as a quarterback, and that was the University of Florida. But there's a problem. They already had their star quarterback, Tim Tebow. But the legendary coach, Urban Meyer, convinced Cam Newton that he would have a chance to play quarterback. So Cam Newton joined the University of Florida. Cam earned the backup spot behind Tebow, who won the Heisman Trophy in 2007. So Cam was a backup, but he was promised to get playing time in 2008. But in 2008, he had his first major injury. He hurt his ankle and he couldn't play for the rest of the season. Things got even worse for Cam. Later in 2008, he was arrested for stealing a laptop from another college student. And because of this, he was suspended from the team. So Cam Newton decided to make a decision. He decided to transfer, and he ended up in Auburn University to play for the Auburn Tigers. This was Cam's second chance, and he played incredible. He led Auburn to the 2010 BCS National Championship, and he even won the Heisman Trophy. He was even named the AP Player of the Year, which is a crazy award to win. Once again, he was a 5-star recruit, one of the only players to be a 5-star recruit in high school and in college. Now we enter Cam's NFL career. In the 2011 draft, Cam Newton was selected #1 overall by the Carolina Panthers. There was no chance he wasn't going to be the first pick. And what did he do? The same thing he did in high school and in college. He started to dominate the NFL. In his NFL debut, Cam set an NFL rookie record with 422 passing yards. But it wasn't just his first game. He did this all season long. He had 21 passing touchdowns and 14 rushing touchdowns, which is still a quarterback record for one season. Cam Newton was named the Offensive Rookie of the Year, and it wasn't even close. The problem was the Panthers. Even though Cam was doing great, they were still losing games. The Panthers were a losing franchise for a long time, even before Cam Newton. But it only took him 2 seasons to turn the Panthers into a winning team. In 2013, his 3rd NFL season, Cam Newton led the Panthers to a 12-4 record. He led his team to the playoffs and even made his first Pro Bowl. Then the craziest thing happens in 2014. Cam Newton gets into a car accident, fractures 2 parts of his lower back, and here's the crazy part, he recovered and came back to playing football only 12 days after the accident. This man's back was made of pure steel because that should be physically impossible. Still, 2014 was a down year for the Panthers because they only won 5 games. This seems like the beginning of the end, right? Nope, it's the opposite because Cam Newton's about to have one of the most impressive seasons in NFL history. In 2015, Cam had the best season of his career, throwing for 35 touchdowns, rushing for 10 touchdowns, and threw only 10 interceptions. He was the entire Panthers offense, and Cam Newton won MVP that season. But not only did he win MVP, he led the Panthers to a 15-1 record. They were 1 win away from going undefeated into the playoffs. And what did they do in the playoffs? They went to the Super Bowl, only the 2nd Super Bowl in the Panthers' history. Cam Newton did the impossible and gave the Panthers a chance to win a Super Bowl. Now, even though they lost that Super Bowl, this was the sign of a new beginning for the Carolina Panthers. Even NFL players voted Cam Newton as the #1 best player in the league. This was the high point of Cam Newton's career and his life. But now comes 2016, the year that ruined Cam Newton's career. He was on pace to have an even better season and win his 2nd MVP in a row. But in week 14 against the Chargers, the injury happened. After throwing an interception, Cam Newton dove for a tackle. He extended his arm as it crashed straight into the ground and tore his rotator cuff on his throwing shoulder. From this moment, Cam Newton was never the same. But it wasn't just this injury. Something else happened. Cam fixed the injury in the offseason and he was starting to recover. It wasn't fully healed, but Cam, being as tough as he is, he wanted to play through it. He was starting to get back in rhythm and started winning games again. The Panthers went 11-5 in 2017 and made the playoffs. It looked like Cam Newton was slowly coming back to his MVP form, the Cam Newton we all remember in 2015. But this is where we go to 2018, the moment that really sealed Cam Newton's fate. It's week 10 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers had a new and up-and-coming star, TJ Watt. The Steelers blitz, and TJ Watt has a free run at Cam Newton. And the worst possible thing happens. As Cam starts his throwing motion, TJ Watt lowers his helmet and drills Cam Newton right in his injured shoulder. A full-powered hit to his rotator cuff, which wasn't even healed yet. And this is where we see an absolutely tragic downfall. He played through the injury, which probably wasn't the greatest idea, and finished the season 6-8, clearly not looking like the normal Cam Newton. The next season, in 2019, he started 2 games for the Panthers, lost both of them, and was benched. He was benched and then released by the Panthers, the guy that was supposed to be their future. Now in 2020, Cam Newton is looking for a new start, a new beginning. And he found it with the New England Patriots. He played almost the whole season, going 7-8. But it was so obvious that Cam Newton wasn't playing like himself. His passing ability wasn't the same, his running was a lot less aggressive. It was a disaster, and the Patriots released him. And this is probably the saddest part. We go on to 2021, the final season of Cam Newton's career. Cam Newton re-signed with the Panthers, his old team, who were desperate for a quarterback. Panthers fans were so excited, hoping for the possibility that the old Cam would show up, the MVP Cam, and make them a contending team. But in his 5 games with the Panthers that season, he lost all 5 games. He went 0-5. In the 2 years since then, Cam has been looking for a job. But now the man who was once an MVP, now nobody wants. Not even as a backup. This is the tragic story of Cam Newton.